Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over every single attachment in Battlefield 6, what they do, some hidden elements, and the fact that some of these attachments are bugged and you should avoid them at all costs because, well, they don't work or do anything. DICE, please fix. So if you enjoy informative Battlefield 6 content and you want to stay up to date with the game, definitely hit that sub button. You guys have smashed through even 100 and I think 3,000 subs as of today. So thank you guys so much. I've actually signed up for my YouTube plaque. I can't wait to get it. Like, I can't even believe that's real. So thank you guys so much for that. And this is going to be a long video, so I'll keep the yapping to a minimum. Let's start off with the most personal preference section of this video, which of course will be sights. The only thing you need to understand about weapon sights is if you're going from like a 1x sight all the way up to, I don't know, like a 5x, just for instance, it's not going to increase the actual recoil itself, but the same recoil will appear a lot more brutal in comparison, right? Like, and if I were to switch back to a 1x, you know, obviously I didn't change any recoil attachments. It's just going from different zoom levels. And then I want to mention the thermal sights. The thermal sights are insane if you're having visibility problems in this game. The thermal 1.5x on light machine guns in particular is absolutely lethal right now on the M250 and the M123K. So if you can't see anything, slap a thermal sight on and guess what? Everyone is a nice white dot. And that's pretty much it. Sights of personal preference, you know, have fun, use whatever looks cool. You know, I know some sights are better than others in terms of actual reticle, but I know some people don't care about that. The next thing I want to cover up front is the difference and the confusion between what a flash hider does and what all of these suppressors do. And then after I explain what suppressors do, I will explain the differences between each of these suppressors and how you should probably use them in your gameplay. So, in Battlefield 6, if you do not have a suppressor or a flash hider equipped, when you shoot, you appear in the minimap to all enemies at all distances, and enemies within 75 meters looking in your direction will be able to see a gigantic red dot above your head when you shoot. That is if you're using any muzzle brake, whether it be a single port brake all the way down to a converter, okay? Now, when you equip a flash hider, the flash hider basically gets rid of the dot above your head when you shoot, but it does not change appearing on the minimap. If you equip a suppressor, the suppressors get rid of the diamond or the dot above your head, and it completely reduces the visibility of you shooting on the minimap all the way down to 15 meters. So you still appear in the minimap with a suppressor, it's only up to 15 meters. And of course, the reduced sound for the suppressor use as well. Now, in terms of the differences between the suppressor, the benefits of the suppressors, which I just explained, apply to every single suppressor in the game, okay? So don't worry about appearing on the minimap at a different distance just because you're using the standard suppressor over, let's say, the lightened suppressor. All suppressors work the same, except for some specific benefits, which I will now cover. So, the standard suppressor is just that. It's a very standard suppressor. It reduces your hipfire accuracy while giving you the benefits which I just explained. The long suppressor will give you reduced recoil buildup and improves recoil recovery at the cost of two penalties, basically. Hipfire accuracy and weapon sway. This is, in my opinion, the worst suppressor in the game for fully automatic weapons. I really don't like it. The increased sway is very noticeable. If you're going to be using a suppressor for a full auto build, if you can fit it in your build, I recommend the lightened suppressor. It gets rid of that sway penalty, and you still get that reduced recoil buildup and improved recoil recovery, which is absolutely massive for any sort of full auto gameplay. Now, if you're using a strictly CQC weapon, and you have a hipfire build, and you don't want to ruin your hipfire benefits from, let's say, a flashlight or a laser, which we'll be covering later, use the CQB suppressor. It has absolutely no penalty, but you do not get the reduced recoil buildup or improved recoil recovery from the lightened suppressor. Basically, it's a suppressor with no downsides. Now, moving on to explaining different muzzle brakes, the single port brake will reduce recoil at the cost of weapon sway, which is quite bad. The double port brake will improve recoil control, but it doesn't have the weapon sway penalty, and the compensated brake will give you extremely enhanced recoil control capabilities. It completely minimizes recoil buildup and improves recoil recovery, and it is a massive, massive difference maker. However, it's no suppressor, and of course you will be basically telegraphing your position to everyone on the map if you use this. But it does reduce recoil of really a crazy amount. And lastly is the converter, which is a bit of a unique attachment. What this does is it takes your horizontal recoil and it squishes it in favor of vertical recoil. So it reduces horizontal recoil. All right, moving on to the light and the lasers. These two go in tandem because they actually both improve aspects of hipfire, but in different ways. So I'll cover the light first. What the light does is it basically improves hipfire recovery, or how fast your accuracy recovers after hip firing. The flashlight isn't just a flashlight. It is incredibly useful in hipfire builds. The lasers are a little more interesting. So the first laser you'll get on a lot of weapons is the red laser. This provides a minimal impact when it comes to hipfire accuracy, but this is the only laser in the game that is not visible to enemies, even when you aim down sights or hipfire or anything. This is basically an invisible laser that will give you a minor benefit to hipfire. Moving up the laser hierarchy here, we have the 5 mW green laser, which provides slight hipfire accuracy, definitely a lot better than the red laser, but it is visible, and all of these lasers moving up will be visible to enemies. Next, we have the 50 mW, which provides even better hipfire, and of course, this weapon, this laser is apparently even more visible. And now we get to the blue lasers. The blue lasers are a bit interesting, because the 20-point blue laser has worse hipfire than the 20-point green laser, but the reason why people are apparently using the blue laser is, it says right here, minor improvement to aim down sights accuracy while moving. In my testing, both the 20-point and the 30-point laser, they don't do anything to hipfire, to aim down sights accuracy while moving, like at all. So in my opinion, I would recommend avoiding these two blue lasers, and if you can fit it in your build, go with either the green laser or the 50 mW green laser for that extra added hipfire benefit, especially if you're going for a hipfire build. I wouldn't go with the blue laser right now. Unfortunately, it does appear that, well, it just doesn't work. Dice, please fix. Now, moving on to ergonomics. Ergonomics is a bit interesting. So, mag flare is, in my opinion, just trash. Like, don't use this. It's 10 points. You can already reload your weapon while aiming down sights if you are mounted. And let's be honest, reloading your weapon while aiming down sights is maybe the most niche thing in the game. I have never used it, ever. And I don't really think you want to use it, because if you're mounted and reloading, that means you're not moving. So you're a stationary target. You might be head glitching, but you're a stationary target and you're very easy to kill. So magwell flare, would not recommend at all. And I would not recommend the match trigger. Reason being is, if you read this, if you set your weapon to semi-auto, it says it reduces the recoil and increases accuracy. Well, the problem with that is your weapon, well, just in semi, is already insanely accurate. And if you take a look here, I set my weapon back to full auto, but if I shoot one bullet in full auto, and then I switch my weapon back to semi-auto and do the same thing, you can see that when you switch your weapon back to semi-auto, you actually get less recoil. And this has been a mechanic in Battlefield stretching all the way back to, I want to say at least Battlefield 5, but it could actually predate Battlefield 5. It could be from all the way back to Battlefield 4 maybe. So match trigger is, interestingly, it's kind of built into your weapon already, so I would not recommend mag flare or match trigger for any builds, especially considering match trigger is 15 points, and that is extremely expensive. The rail cover is a new attachment. This improves weapon draw speed. In my testing, it's slight, but it can be useful in hipfire builds. So if you want that faster sprint out time, you want your weapon to come up faster. If you have 5 points and you don't really know what to do with them and your weapon has rail cover, this can be a decent option. And finally, the most interesting one, improved mag catch. So the improved mag catch, believe it or not, has a catch to it. Yes, guys. I saw on Reddit a comparison between people using the mag catch on primary weapons and people using the mag catch on secondary weapons. The mag catch improves reload speed on primary weapons, but on secondary weapons, it's bugged right now and does not improve reload speed at all. So DICE, please fix. And the last thing I'll cover in the ergonomics section has to do with snipers. We'll go over to the M2010 ESR here. The only thing in the ergonomics section for snipers is the DLC bolt, which is basically the straight pull bolt from Battlefield 4. It allows you to rechamber around while aiming down sights. This is incredibly good for snipers, like unbelievably good. If you can fit this in your build, I would highly recommend it. It is fantastic. And while we're in the weird attachments for snipers, I suppose we will look at the optic accessories. Anti-glare, this is supposed to reduce visibility of scope glint. I have played against people using this, and I can see them just fine. I really don't think this is worth it. If you really feel like people see you too easily, you can slap this on, especially if you just have 10 points you don't really know what to do with. But in my experience, playing against people that are actually using this, I really don't feel like it does anything. And I suppose while we're in here, we'll segue over to ammo types, and we'll talk about the only unique sniper ammo type in the game. This is match grade ammo. We'll obviously talk about all the other ammo types later, but snipers only have long range, or snipers are the only weapons that have long range. What this does is it basically just reduces bullet drop. It might just mess up the drag coefficient, reduces bullet drop. It is insane. It's very, very good for snipers, especially combined with the fact that you can get over 1,000 meters per second muzzle velocity with a lot of these bolt actions. So that is just incredibly good. And then addressing the other ammo types here, we'll just go back to the M4A one. The penetration ammo, I gotta be honest, it's just trash, guys. The penetration ammo is not good. It gives you a constant downside, which is increased recoil, for the unbelievably situational benefit of better target penetration damage. It's terrible. Like, don't use it. Lightweight ammo, I wish this was better, but it's just not. The only weapon type that I would possibly recommend you use lightweight ammo on is light machine guns. And the only reason that is if you look, lightweight ammo improves your mobility here, and the only thing mobility does is it affects your aim down sight's movement speed, okay? And it can be useful on LMGs because, of course, LMGs have really, really bad aim down sight's movement speed just by default. So if you're going to use lightweight ammo, if you absolutely insist, I would recommend only using it on light machine guns. Now, moving on to the other strange ammo types here, which is frangible and then hollow point and synthetic. I'll talk about frangible. Frangible in multiplayer is not very good. Frangible in RedSec is actually potentially very good. What frangible does is it delays the health regeneration for your enemies. In multiplayer, you kind of just want to kill them, so it's not really that useful. But in the Battle Royale, for instance, in my KTS build, I have been using frangible rounds because it makes a massive difference in fights. What frangible does is it makes your health regeneration take 9 seconds. So if you hit somebody with this, they have to wait 9 seconds for health regeneration to kick in. And in the Battle Royale, that means you basically are fucked if you're playing against a good team. In the multiplayer, again, it really doesn't matter that much. And then finally, the last ammo types we have to cover are hollow point and synthetic. So, synthetic is only available on very specific weapons like the KTS, like the AK-205. Hollow point is available on a lot more weapons, and it's only really viable, in my opinion, if your weapon has a 33 damage model. Like, just for instance, we'll take a look at the AK-4D here, which does not have synthetic, but it does have hollow tip. The AK-4D, if you use hollow points, it does make it so your breakpoints change for headshots, which is, of course, extremely good. But on the majority of damage models in the game, hollow point is not going to make a difference really at all in any of the breakpoints, and neither is synthetic tip. Synthetic tip, in the case of like the KTS or the AK-205, it's not a make or break attachment. However, for weapons like this that are insanely accurate and you can stack headshots, you're still doing increased headshot damage. And with synthetic tip, at least on the KTS, it does affect one breakpoint, I believe, which is at 100 meters, you can now 3-shot headshot somebody. Like, okay, cool. For the majority of weapons, though, I would not recommend hollow point or synthetic tip. But if you use, for instance, like a secondary weapon with these, the M44 in particular, hollow point makes a massive difference. It changes the one-shot headshot distance from 5 meters all the way out to 20 meters, which is massive. So I guess the best advice I could give for hollow point and synthetic tip, go in the test range, test those breakpoints, see if it actually affects your weapons. Now, moving on to barrels and their different use cases. This is going to probably be a long section. Basic barrel is just that. It's just the basic barrel. You're almost never going to be using the basic barrel on any of your builds unless it's a weird build where you can't really fit a barrel. Extended barrels increase your muzzle velocity and ADS time. Light barrels increase your ADS time and allow you to be more accurate while moving, but I think the real stars of the show here are the heavy and heavy extended. The heavy extended barrel in particular. It's basically just a heavy barrel with the added improvement that it increases your projectile velocity. So what the heavy barrel does is it improves your accuracy over extended periods of time. So if you're going for a longer burst, let's say like a 7 or 8 round burst, you're going to be more accurate over that burst than if you're using like the light barrel or the basic barrel. And then of course you just get more muzzle velocity. So I would say the heavy extended barrel is one of the best barrels in the entire game. I use it on, let's say, the DRS, because why wouldn't you? It costs 10 points, and it's just simply the best barrel choice for this weapon. 900 meters per second muzzle velocity, and I'm more accurate for 10 points? Seems kind of broken to me, Dice. There are other barrels in the game, which I use on this M4. This is just a short barrel. It gives you better hipfire accuracy and ADS speed, but it reduces projectile velocity. Short barrels I would recommend for CQC builds that you're using for like hipfire, all that sort of stuff. And for weapons that you're going to be using at longer ranges, like the DRS, like the M123K, like any sort of like DMR or sniper, I would highly, highly recommend using extended barrels, because again, it just gives you such high muzzle velocity, 1,000 meters per second on the ERS. If we look at the Scout here, I mean, it's even more ridiculous with the 1,100 meters per second muzzle velocity. So heavy barrels are fantastic. Short barrels are very situational. Extended barrels on snipers and any sort of like long range DMR sort of weapon, and you should be good to go. Moving on to talking about grips. Grips in this game are really confusing and really interesting right now. Unfortunately, a lot of grips have this penalty where they reduce your accuracy while moving while you're aimed down sights, which is not great. You want to be accurate while aiming down sights. But some people speculate that the ribbed vertical, the 6H64 vertical, and other grips, because they increase your precision and your control, some people argue that it offsets the penalty to aiming down sights while moving. In my testing, I have not been able to verify this because I can't give you guys anything definitive outside of like it being placebo, if that makes any sense. So as soon as hard data comes out about what these grips actually do, hopefully somebody will data mine something. We'll have a lot better idea of what grip is the absolute best right now. In my experience, I don't like using the 6H64 or the ribbed vertical. I actually prefer using slim angled or the full angled on some weapons because this increases weapon draw speed, faster ADS time, reduces recoil, and it doesn't have any downsides to it. And then if you're going to use a grip, this moderately reduces recoil. And paying attention to the word here, believe it or not, actually matters. Moderately. Significantly, right? Moderately. So pay attention to the wording. Pay attention to what these grips actually do. I really cannot verify as to whether or not this increase in precision actually does offset the movement speed and accuracy penalty without like hard data as to what's happening to the spread and all that sort of stuff. In terms of the bipod slash grip pods here, these are just not worth it in comparison to the other grips. If you mount a lot and you bipod a lot, then yes, just know that the hipfire benefits only work when you're bipoded slash mounted, and you can't mount diagonally. You have to mount like right on a ledge or else you won't get the benefits. So these grips are just too finicky to be worth it in my opinion. I would just go with, you know, either full angled or slim angled, or if you want to try it out in your gameplay, you can test ribbed vertical or 6H64. And for weapons that are particularly bouncy, I like using the ribbed stubby or even the canted stubby, but again, you know, can't really verify if these grips negate the penalty on them. Now, when it comes to sniper-specific grips, there is one grip that you should absolutely avoid, and that is the full angled grip. And the reason's obvious. It just decreases your accuracy while moving, which is fucking horrible for snipers. Do not use the full angled grip. In terms of the other grips you can use, if you want faster ADS time, I really enjoy the low profile stubby. I have not found a use or a need for the slim angled on snipers. I always found low profile stubby works just fine. And now finally coming to magazines, Battlefield 6 magazine options are kind of interesting because it is kind of just a straight upgrade if you can fit the fast mag. It does cost more points. As you go up the magazine tiers, it just gets more and more penalties and they cost a ton. Unfortunately, I would recommend in this game just sticking with the default magazine, or if you can fit the fast mag, I would go with that. Very, very rarely would I ever say go for the 36 round or just one of the higher extended magazine options, because the downsides are just really, really noticeable. And then moving to some of the belt-fed weapons and some very interesting characteristics of them. So if you go to the M123K here, you will notice, this has a 200 round belt option. Because it's belt-fed, it doesn't reduce the reload time. So that's really interesting. Unfortunately, it costs 55 points. Good luck fitting that in a build. I really have not been able to fit it in a build that feels viable to me, which is tragic, because who doesn't want a 200 round, 830 rate of fire belt-fed machine gun? So there we go. That is all of the attachments in Battlefield 6 explained. Hopefully you guys got something from this video. If you did, be sure to thumbs up, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and swing by stream. I stream every single day at twitch.tv/enders. And I'll leave you guys off with one tip. If you didn't know, press I on your keyboard, or I'm not sure what it is on controller, to bring up the weapon inspect, and you can move your mouse around to actually look at your weapon in different ways. I'll see you guys in the next video.